Hiya, YouTube. Alright, so this is What If Rip Hunter recruited more people before recruiting the Legends, Part 2. Now, if you remember where we left off is where everyone goes into the Wave Rider. So, Rip will then explain, and what he originally explained, and including the fact at the act of the whole, yeah, you guys were heroes thing, the same thing he would do originally, including saying that his kid, it it was it and wife were murdered by Vandal Savage. So, they decided to help him. That entire scene of trying to take the bomb from Vandal would still happen. From Vandal would still happen. It'll happen. 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 It'll go wrong. Sarah will still meet Damien, and the whole fight would still happen. And the only difference was Marcus would be there, either, and they wouldn't want to reveal too much of their meta powers, ours, ours, or alien powers for that matter. At Chris, Andrew, and Victor just decide to just fight normally with only using their super strength, and but not too much of it. With Marcus just is doing the same and not wanting to use too much of his meta powers, although Jax and Martin did the whole firestorm thing, arm thing. Ray would still leave behind his piece of tech, so they would still find Martin. The whole finding young Martin thing, and then getting back to the future would still happen. They would then have to find Aldous, as aka Aaron Kinder's his kid from a past life. They would still try to find all this, except unlike the original timeline, Aldous does not die. As Marcus, since he would know that this person isn't a normal human, Marcus would instantly use his powers to dodge the lasers, and then bond with Aldous. Since he technically has firestorm powers, although he does use it as one person, and I assume he would still be able to bond with another person, so he bonds with Aldous, and then firestorms away. But unlike the original timeline, Kronos is not alone. And Kronos' partner Tempro starts shooting at Marcus. As with Chris, is unleashing a psychic blast, as that Tempros causing Tempros to miss. As with Chris then running at Tempros and punching him in the chest, causing Tempros to flop, to end up on the ground somewhere else. But Tempros is actually able to get up, and shrug it off like it was nothing. So they all decide to get far away from there, and they time jump. The entirety of the vision of Kendra and the dagger would still happen, and Carter would still try to stab Vandal Savage, hoping he would die, hoping he would die or something, and just like the original timeline, he still wouldn't die. But unlike the original timeline, and Vandal is unable to stab Carter or Kendra for that matter, as when he tries to stab the knife does not go anywhere near Carter. Because if anyone remembers the original timeline, Carter would get stabbed in the chest, and then Kendra would get almost fatally stabbed. And that doesn't happen in this reality, as since Chris is there, so is Marcus. As Chris would stop up the knife using telekinetic powers, are going like this to prevent the knife. Then Marcus, since he isn't currently bonded with Aldous, as Aldous is on the ship, he uses his speedster powers to speed Carter and Kendra out of there, while everyone else runs. And with Chris using telekinetic powers again, but this time to take the knife from Vandal Savage. With Vandal no longer having the knife, so I think Carter being alive, that would bring changes, is that would differentiate from the original timeline. The entire area of the mission, including the mission to the Pentagon, would go differently, as Kendra wouldn't go completely crazy and attack people, going all freaking bird hyper nuts. That's as Carter isn't dead, and so none of them will be fatally wounded. So Sarah wouldn't have the same talk with Kendra, but would still train with Kendra. Both Carter deciding to train with Marcus, as not that many people on the Wave Rider know how to fight. In a style similar to him, as Ray Palmer wouldn't know that much about fighting that much. Mick would still be the crazy pyro dude, and Leonard would probably only know about like boxing or something, and not know much about the whole like fighting like an Egyptian prince, immortal warrior dude. And so Marcus would reluctantly start training with Carter. Our more things in the timeline would be different, as Carter is not dead, meaning stuff in the future that would prevent Kendra from killing Vandal wouldn't happen in this version. Okay. And so let's fast forward. So all the missions will be different, including the mission in where they would go. That was the past, and meet someone from Rip's past when he was a time master. With that at being the scarred cowboy we all know and love. He would still punch Rip. Rip will do the whole punch Rip thing. The whole punching Rip thing would still happen. Also happen. But before we talk about that, let's go a little bit back into the timeline. I know I'm doing the episode with the Time Pirates, where they would Rip will see the transmission and needing the information for Gideon, and he would try to save this Time Master, or their ship will still get taken, and Mick would temporarily turn traitor. That entire thing of him turning traitor would still happen. The only difference though is Andrew would stay behind to make sure he doesn't do anything stupid. Also, hoping to coerce Mick into never betraying them again. And we then flash forward to when they are in the past, as in the same time in the past, as needing to get what they need, to make sure they can kill Vandal. Also, the part of the timeline where Kendra and Ray would pretend to be married. Since Carter is not dead, it's instead Carter and Kendra are doing this, with Ray pretending to be their mechanic. That entire with the whole still trying to kill Vandal thing, with only Kendra still going, and then trying to stab him with it not working, and then her leaving, because like Ray, I assume, would be like a small person, be small, then like would blast him and then would leave or something. Would leave or something. That entire thing of like Kronos attacking the ship and then everyone getting stranded. Same thing would happen, but the amount of people who are stranded would then be differentiated. As Carter will still be alive. Instead of it just being Sarah, Ray, and Carter. In this version of events, it would be Sarah, not Sarah, Ray, and Carter. Sarah, Ray, and Kendra. It would instead be Sarah, Ray, Kendra, and Marcus, with everyone else being on the ship, worrying about Sarah and Kendra, with Leonard still not caring about out Ray, or the fact that Marcus would be there, as Marcus is a speedster and could probably speed them into wherever they're gonna go. The entire thing about them being stuck in time would still happen, and Ray would still try to do the temporal device thing, hoping that they could be seen. Anybody would still wouldn't work. Sarah would then still leave with Marcus leaving as well to make sure Sarah doesn't get too far, or in case that device actually works. It would then still do the same 2-year time gap, with Carter or with Kendra being a librarian and Ray still being a teacher, and Carter actually working at a gym in that place. Is with Carter or meeting up with everyone at the house where the device would work, and then there would be a transmission from Rip, same as in the other timeline. They would then try to find Sarah. They would go back. They would go back onto the Wave Rider, with Carter are looking at a box and then putting it back into his pocket. All this let's see if he can try to feel for Marcus's emotions, but he would feel nothing. With that, worrying all this as that has never happened before, and he doesn't even know if that is possible to happen. And ask Martin and Jax if that is normal, with them stating probably not, but also stating that all this is connection to Marcus is different from Jax's connection to Martin. So they would still try. Rip would still then do the same thing, in wondering if Sarah's ever been in the league before, and would search for her name, which is the Canary. Harry, but also searches for another individual that wasn't there originally, with him deducting that is Sarah and Marcus. Rip would then go to Sarah's room, finding a sleeping Sarah, with Sarah still disarming him and saying, I think she said it in Arabic, I can't remember what language she said it, saying, oh yeah, protect Ra's al Ghul or whatever, but in the other room there would be, I wouldn't say all this, so let's say Carter. In the other room, Carter would be trying to find Marcus in all the bedrooms, with Carter then finding Marcus. Marcus Marcus to wake up. Marcus would wake up, and instead of like flipping over Carter or something, Marcus would just straight up just with his one hand and grab it at Carter's throat, and then push him to the floor, or saying the same thing Sarah would say, but saying it differently. Now, since I can't speak the language she said it, I'm saying it in English. English is protect Ra's al Ghul. Whoa. There are unknown people here. Protect the demon's head, or protect the master of the league, or whatever, or something that would sound like menacing, saying, you think you could stop? You could do this? You think you could hurt Ra's? Wrong again. How many of you are there? No, I assume Carter wouldn't know how to speak that language or something, so I assume that Carter would say something like, I know you. Remember me, Marcus. With Marcus saying, who's Marcus? I am the Arrow Master. Ra's would still do the same thing, where Ray would remember trial by combat, and Kendra would say I'll fight Tyre Al-Safar, with Carter saying he'll fight the Arrow Master, hoping he can get Marcus to remember who he is. They would still eventually fight, with Carter knowing how Marcus fights, he would be able to stop some of his blows, but then his blows would become stronger, with Carter wondering if Marcus would remember about his powers, or Carter would try as hard as he can to try to hawk out, but it wouldn't work a few times, with Marcus eventually punching Carter across the face, and completely tackling him to the floor, or punching him multiple times, including with Kendra still hawking out and trying to take on Sarah. With Sarah saying that's more like it, he would still. Marcus would still be pounding on Carter, with Carter eventually hawking out, grabbing at Marcus's throat, and having him on the floor instead of him. But that would only temporarily work, as Marcus would still punch him across the face. He's knocking Carter back down. With Marcus is constantly pounding on Carter's face. Is all this would us would try to get Marcus to stop. With if Marcus is stated in English, is for them to hear, I am the League. I am a servant of Rachel Ghoul. Wolf, you will not try to poison me with your lies, traitor. Not traitor. He would say stranger or something, but then and someone would come into the room and say, "Beloved, stop." With Marcus saying, "No, you can't be here." With Carter taking that chance to get out of the chokehold, well, then punch Marcus across the face. Across the face. That's the face. With Marcus getting back up, getting ready. Hate to punch it. And Carter in the face. But then he would look at all this and see the fear in his eyes, and then something will start to happen as memories would start flashing. He was remembering all this in Carter. And then the whole fight scene with Kronos and stuff would happen. Same thing with Temporos. They would start to fight him, and with Market, it's actually starting to run towards that mystery person. With Temporal saying, an alteration to the timeline must undetected, must be fixed. So he points his gun towards this mystery person, with Marcus yelling no, and his eyes temporarily starting to crackle like a speedster. With him charging towards Temporals, and then punching Temporals behind it. Then suddenly you running like a speedster. You're getting in front of Temporals and then punching him straight across the face, and multiple times in the chest. As with Marcus punching Temporals, with Temporals falling to the floor and the mask coming off of Leonard and Victor will then open with it and enter the room saying, "Don't hurt them. That's Mick and Andrew." With them unmasking Kronos and seeing that it's Mick, and then when Temporal shows his face, it's shown that it's Andrew. Raish would then release Sarah and Marcus, and then they would go back to the Wave Rider, or with the mysterious woman coming with Rip wondering why this mysterious woman is with Marcus, and why this mysterious woman would call Marcus beloved. With Marcus stating, "I may not completely remember who some of you are, but this is my wife." With Rip completely being surprised that he said the word wife. Or wife, wondering what happened when they were gone. Now let's flash forward to the whole part with. Now let's go to the cowboy thing. That entire arc would still be the same. Kendra would still see her past life. But Carter would also be there. All this would be walking with Marcus, wondering who that was, wondering how he could suddenly have a wife. But Marcus would then reveal that's not his only secret. With Marcus's wife later still being on the Wave Rider, Had her talking, but not talking, and talking with Rip entering the room, and then and finding out who he was at who the woman was actually talking to, ooh, with the woman revealing that she was with a kid, revealing a kid being right near her, with that being Marcus's kid. It's, and this child is my beloved and my own. You may wonder why I'm here, or I am here. I will always be with my beloved and go wherever he goes. Rose, this was never supposed to happen, but Raish allowed it and freed me from the league, but did not free my beloved yet, till you all came. Rip would then wonder what the kid's name is, with the woman revealing that his name is Mateo, or that is their kid, and that Mateo is their son. Rip would then be completely surprised that Mark has had a kid, and would then leave the room and then talk to Gideon, wondering what he should do. As Mark originally he didn't get married. He didn't have a kid named Mateo. And marry someone inside the League of Assassins, as Marcus was never originally trained by the League. Rip would then contemplate going back into the past and preventing Marcus from meeting this woman, but then he would never be able to do it. As looking at Mateo would remind him of his son Jonas. The entire thing of the whole shoot off thing and then fighting those time hunters would still happen. But instead of that, one of the time hunters is talking about Mick, and unleashing the Pilgrim I think it was Pilgrim Protocol. I can't exactly fully remember, but I think it was like Pilgrim Protocol or something. But would say Kronos and Temporals, the Pilgrim Protocol has been activated. You guys will pay for your crimes. That entire episode with the past versions of people would still happen, but instead of getting Baby Stein, they would still eventually get baby Jax, but instead of getting Baby Stein, they would instead get a teenage version of Stein, and who was currently in his freshman year in high school. Well, and would then get a child version of Leonard, who would be in his sixth grade year. But instead of getting younger versions of Marcus and the others, they would instead just get their younger versions. And it's 2 years before originally meeting that, and when they were recruited by Rip. The Pilgrim was still do the whole taking people you love thing, but instead of taking the younger version of Marcus's parents, he would instead take his grandmother. Rip would then still do the same thing of giving him his younger self, as if they were there, as if this is the younger version of Rip. If Rip doesn't exist, neither does the Legends. The entire thing would still happen, and that woman would still be defeated. With it, and learning Rip's real name being Michael. I'm pretty sure that's his real name. I'm pretty sure the woman says Michael. Either way, that ends that part, and they would still do the part of going to the future to try to kill Vandal Savage. They will still do that and still fail the first time. But instead of Kendra failing to kill Vandal, and the Vandal would then say Aldous' name, and with Marcus then running to where Aldous is on the Wave Rider, as that is also where his kid and wife are. Marcus would run as fast as he can, and get there in time to save Aldous with his eyes turning white and his frosted taking over, saying, "All right, you've had enough fun, dude. screw the timeline. I'm doing this. His ice identity with it and and unleash two ice daggers and continue to and then hack at Vandal's men and also I'm pretty sure Killer Frost could do the thing where she like freezes a specific part of someone and it hurts them a lot. So his ice identity would grab some of them by the wrist. It's making them unable to use one of the guns and please start punching and then he would clap his hands and do the whole like ice spread thing that Killer Frost does in like the one Flash episode to knock a bunch of people down and stuff. With him then and going back into the wave and then hugging his wife. I'm saying I should have never left you. I should have stayed here with it and then and running as fast as he can back to where Vandal is seeing that Vandal left as all of them had to fight at a bunch of people. There was all of them do the same thing of the betrayal of Vandal Savage with Cassandra, but unlike in the original timeline, Cassandra would then and stay with the Legends and stating what a better way to make my father pay than help in destroying him. The entire thing of the whole thing with like being taken by the time by capturing Vandal Savage and taking them to the Time Masters, that would still happen. That would still happen, except Kendra and Carter would be there. They would have successfully saved Jonah, Onis, and Miranda, with Chris having the experimental version of the time device, is upping it once. Us making sure that although Miranda and Jonas are alive, that the Legends would still exist. And so would Marcus's kid. And then I'll go to the time map. I'll go there with people still staying on the ship. With the people staying on the ship, being Cassandra, Leonard, Sarah, and Marcus's wife. I cannot think of a name for Marcus's wife. If any of you guys have ideas, put it down in the comment section. With Mateo being with Jonah, it's with Jonah saying that Mateo has a nice smile. The entire thing of like all of them getting arrested, and the whole thing with Mick saying oh yeah, squeeze my arm harder. That thing was same thing would happen, but would also have with Andrew. But Andrew would literally say get off me, and then would start fighting the guard that hit him. But then guards would point their guns at his brother, saying, and you guys have all caused us anachronisms. So that means we can't technically erase you from the timeline if you do not stop. Andrew not wanting his brother to be dead or possibly become erased, is reluctantly agrees. So the entire thing of like messing up the time ships, but the only thing different from the original timeline is since Carter and Kendra would also both be arrested, they would also be taken out of their cells, but instead of being taken to another chamber, they would be given to Vandal, where Vandal would have them in those same chains that Kendra was in and stuff, and would then take their blood, with Vandal saying, I want Rip to suffer before, or I make him see them perish, is by his very eyes. The entire thing with like having to blow up that time thing in the Time Master's headquarters, or in I can't remember what that place is called, but it's a place where it exists outside of the original timeline, where Rip saw the thing of like Ray dying and stuff. They would still fight the Time Masters, and Cassandra would also be there. But to make sure that they have their own free will and that time can't be manipulated, they all go to that chamber with Leonard leaving, even with Sarah following suit with him. But Cassandra would also go there, and so would Marcus. As with Ray, so something that like it has to be put down. I have to do this. With this, Mick with him and knock him out. How with Leonard saying sorry partner and still doing the whole knockout thing, because but then Cassandra would then fight. Would then try to knock out Leonard with Leonard knowing what Cassandra is doing. So he would then start using his cold gun, hoping to hit Cassandra somewhere where he won't get hurt, but would be stopped from stopping him. But it doesn't work. Or as Sarah hits him from behind, but when they're going towards the device, Marcus's eyes turn wide, and he hits the both of them. I'm saying, all of you guys need to survive. All you guys need to survive. With him then opening a breach, each and using his super strength to throw. Oh, Leonard, Mick, Cassandra, and Sarah into the device. With him then running as fast as he can and creating a time remnant, as he would be from the future. And to be fair, talking with Gideon, he probably would have said like, "Oh yeah, Gideon, what a type of stuff can speedsters do?" And Gideon will probably show him something from the timeline of either Zoom creating a time remnant, or Barry creating one, or his younger self, or the younger version of Damien, or his brother Damien, who's probably in the past currently fighting Zoom. So since he would know how to create a time remnant, he would create a time remnant and saying, "You know what we have to do, and you know why I can't do it. His time remnant is fine. Go to her." So Marcus would then run. That same scene of like, "Shut it down," would still happen, but instead of Leonard saying, "There's no strings on me," Marcus would say, "You know what? I'm tired of here. You guys tell us what to do. Well, guess what? We're our own people. Well, and although the timeline doesn't care about us, guess what? We care about us. Us. We're a family, and this family is full of legends. So this legend is gonna make sure we have a tomorrow." Or the entire explosion would happen, and with Leonard saying "damn it," Emmett Mick screaming, and Sarah, and Cassandra, Andrew will then start are getting angry and blaming her father, or with Sarah, her sticks falling out of her hand, and are going to the ground, and falling to the ground and starting to punch the ground. And then a flashback happens to the lead. Happens, and Sarah is in her lead uniform. And there's that one priestess from that Arrow episode where Oliver is then married to Nissa. But instead of Oliver and Nissa being there, it's Marcus and his wife. And the priestess does the same, says the same words, and they are then married. With Rage saying, "As my gift to you, you are released from the League, but your beloved must stay here. But in time, I will release him when I am done." With Marcus's wife saying, "Thank you, Ra's al Ghul. I will not betray your trust." As the flashback ends with Marcus saying, "Why the long face?" With Sarah again back up saying, "Wait, I thought you were dead." Ed, with him saying, "And you know I'm an alien, right? But not just that, I'm a speedster. And we can do some pretty cool stuff." But after he says that, someone replies, "Yeah, we kinda can." With Marcus wondering how his time remnant is alive, his time remnant would and say he still had his hand on the button, but then he started phase, and he turned his eyes white and froze the button in place. And with his speed, when he saw that the device was starting to explode, he phased is down the floor, or 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 then open the breach. It's getting him to the outside, and hence the fact why he's not dead. A- After that, they would still contemplate what's happening. Rip would still will have them in the past, as saying, "I did this. I need to fix it. Fix it. Thank you for giving me back my family, Emily." Rip would still let's take him to the same place he would have done in the original timeline, with everyone going on back on with their lives, with Leonard and Mick still trying to be criminals, but suddenly being unable to do it. What and seeing that their getaway driver ever is Ray, but also there is Cassandra. Andra, they would then and go back to the wave are saying we're legend, and so whether Rip likes it or not, we're gonna help him. Everyone, that'll be that entire scene, but also have Marcus Marcus and his time remnant there, or with Marcus is saying that his wife isn't in his apartment, in his apartment, apartment, and he used the same device that they used to transfer her records to current time, and what her kid it would have been born in the current timeline. I'm saying, and after this, he's gonna take a little time to be with his wife. With his wife, the Wave Rider would then appear. They would go back onto the Wave Rider, but instead of Sarah doing the scene where he would have Rip at knife point, and Sarah would then say, "Hey, Captain, Mr. Crew," with Rip saying, a little bit, but this still doesn't explain why you're here. With them saying, "And you wanted us here. You said we were gonna be legends. So whether you like it or not, we're gonna help you. Help you." With all this chiming in, saying, "If you're gonna stop up the person who took my family from me, I'm helping, whether you like it or not." It would then do the entire thing of learning what Vandal Savage would do, and then would remember the meteorites and remember every single time he had one, and then they would still go into those same groups, with Marcus going with Crit as to the time where Vandal had the meteorite when he mutated all those people, Sarah going to the time with the bombs alongside I'd say Cassandra, Andrew, and Victor, with all this going with Marcus's time remnant, as parents and Rip up to the future. All of them and would stop up all of the meteorites and join Rip, you know, with Marcus's wife, and reluctantly with Marcus is what I've actually exiting out of the wave ride, either having and Andrew's Tempro's gun with her. Might I add you, when and Mick originally goes to fight the legends, it does not look like his gun is one of the guns that erases a person from the timeline, and so she goes out with that gun, telling Miranda and Jonas has to take care of her kid. It was coming out to see Rip stab at Vandal, saying, "This is for Miranda." Stab him again, saying, "This is for Jonas," and then punching him across the face, and then stabbing him a third time, saying, "This is for me." But then, and out of nowhere, where he sees a blast coming, and then hears Marcus's wife saying, "And this is for my family." Emily, the whole thing of the meteorite almost exploding and stuff, of Jax would still try to do the firestorm thing, and Ray would still try to do the shrinking thing with Marcus. I guess even trying to use his firestorm powers with Marcus' time remnant, and it was currently bonded to all this chiming us trying to do it as well with it not working. Arguing with Marcus saying, wait, what if all of us do it at the same time? Ray would activate the shrinking device. As Jax, Marcus, and his time remnant would use their firestorm power hours as hard as they can, with it eventually working. It would then go back to the past where Eric Carter and Kendra would say, hey, now that he's gone, we're gonna live our lives. Marcus will then say, hey, I hope you guys don't miss us too much. With Marcus' time ramps, and then Alice saying, we'll be joining them. And with Alice saying, I've lost my parents once. This time, I'm gonna have as much time with them as I can and before them. With Marcus' time ramp saying, you have fun with the legends. I'm gonna have fun over here. Here. I'm you. Now, although I could go back at Central City, I want to see what I can do. You on my own. No, you showed me we can be heroes. So I'm gonna be a hero. My own way. Hey, all this with it and combined with Marcus's time remnant, and I'll fly off alongside Kendra and Carter, with Mix saying the same thing, saying, every single time he sees them do that, he thinks of eating chicken. With Marcus saying, I'm a lot smarter than I thought I was. With the whole thing of, I can't remember what his name is, but he's a dude from the Society of America, and he's the dude who EMR literally kills and stuff. He says says the whole warning thing of oh yeah, do not go to this time, and that's the end of this episode. So if you like this video, comment what you thought. Press the like button and share it with your friends. And if you liked it a lot, consider subscribing. Now, if this video gets to 10, maybe 20 likes, I'll try to do a third part in the near future. So, peace out, Mora Gang, and this is Isakinyo Vlogs, signing out.